This trading strategy will completely change the way you view the markets. Once you understand it, you will never second guess your entries ever again. Most traders have no idea where price is actually going, but with this strategy, you're able to know where it's going before it even happens. Before we jump right into the strategy and I show you everything, I want to let you know at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you how you can get a 100K funded account, so stay tuned for that. Now that we're looking at the charts, you'll see we are on NASDAQ 100, but this strategy you can use on any single pair. The first things you should know about this strategy and about my trading is I love to trade with the trend, and I love waiting for liquidity because I think you are less likely to become liquidity if you wait for it to be taken out before your entry. So on the charts, this is actually a setup I called live in front of 1,000 people, and I'm gonna go over all the mechanics and reasons why I entered the trade and how 1,000 people were able to make money alongside me along the whole way with confidence. So the first thing I should do is pull up your own trading view and go to NASDAQ and reverse back to May 22nd around 11 a.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Once you replay price to this area, you'll see what I was presented with before the session, and I'm gonna go over all what you should be looking for before your entry to make it all make sense. So the first thing we're gonna go over is what I said a second ago, which is trading with the trend. Is a huge part of the strategy, and I'm gonna show you why I was bearish going into this session. So right now I'm in the 15-minute time frame. If you kind of just zoom out, we kind of were in a bullish trend, but when we started kind of just moving sideways, I was looking for areas that price liquidated higher to move lower, which happened over here to the left. So like I said, we kind of consolidated, but over here, if you look really close, this high that pushed up took out previous Asian session highs from earlier in Monday the 19th to then come back on Wednesday the 21st and take the liquidity above there and distribute lower from that area to break structure down in this area. I'm gonna go over later why session highs and lows are so important, because it is something I look for constantly in my trading, which has improved my win rate tremendously. So looking at the chart, I was able to realize that we did make this high, but when we pushed down, we kept breaking structure lower. And yes, we came up and broke this high, but I really considered this a higher high, but then a lower low. So then we came up and did break structure, but I considered this a lower high once we came and broke back below and made a lower low. That's what validated this as a lower high that came and made this lower low. So at this point, if you guys do not know what a Fibonacci is, make sure you go to one of my other videos where I explain what a Fibonacci is, because that's what I'm gonna go over right next and what made me wait for the sells in this opportunity. But after I zoomed out, like I said, and saw this high and then this low to then a lower high to a lower low, I consider this a potential lower high to go and make a lower low, which had me going into the session looking for sells, waiting for liquidity to be taken against the overall trend, wait for my entry and take price back down. So now that I have my direction bias, I zoom in and look for a lower time frame entry that makes sense with my sell bias that I can look for, which has to do with step 2, which is waiting for liquidity to be taken out. If you do not know what liquidity is or what it means or where to spot it, I have plenty of other videos on my channel going over it. And also a reminder, I go live every single day, Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, in live trade, live breakdown, answer you guys' questions and help you along in your trading journey. But going back into it, guys, this is where you guys should be at on your backtesting tool, and realize the first thing I noticed when I was looking for liquidity is, first off, this previous New York session had not had its highs taken or lows, so we're still within the range of the New York session. That to me actually makes it a higher probability setup, because now that I'm actually bearish, I want to wait for the highs to be taken, because it's going to stop out all the early sellers from New York session to gain all that liquidity and distribute lower. So after I realized that, I zoomed in and marked up the highs of this New York session and knew if we had price come up and show rejection in this area, I would look for shorts to then aim for the New York lows, which is where the liquidity after I think is sitting. To make sure you guys know this is a legit setup and I did call it in a real time, first off, here's me taking the trade on my live account, and also I'm going to jump over to YouTube, where right here 9 days ago you see 1,000 views live trading NASDAQ. At 7:51 you see me marking up the highs getting rated on New York and then looking for the distribution lower. If we go to later in the video, you actually see where I enter at, me talking you through the whole trade and where my final target is. As we all got into this trade together, sales came in, volume pushed it, and it was a beautiful trade we all got to catch together. So make sure, like I said, you're subscribed and showing up to the live streams to catch these trades alongside with us. But jumping back over to the charts, we came back over, like I said, looking for the highs to be rated. There's one other thing that has to do with the Fibonacci that I talked about a second ago that I'm going to show you, which has to do with marking up this high to this low. Why? because that's what I call the impulse leg. This is what broke structure. This to me is what's causing the volume to come down, and this is the direction you want to take price in. So I look at the high, and I did mark it up at this low, but because this low actually broke this low, you mark it up to the lowest point it made, which is down here, and you see price retraced into 50% of the overall move, which is considered discount. I also have videos on my channel going over what premium and discount is and why I look for that in my trading. So make sure you look for that as well. But now that we've gotten a retracement into discount, where I'm interested in taking a trade from in this overall extended, bearish leg, retracement at 50%, New York highs not taken out. At this point, I'm just waiting patiently to see if price can come up, take out those highs, and then give me some sort of entry. So if I press play, you'll see price kind of came up, a little bit later in session, boom, New York highs taken. I kind of jumped up a little bit sooner, but as soon as price came up and took those highs, I jumped down to a lower time frame, like the 5 minute. I saw us have this trend line that was being built right here. And I knew that after we had this raid, kind of a break and retest and failed to go higher right here, as soon as we came and broke those 15-minute lows, we entered on stream right here, entry right here. You want to keep your stops above the point in the, you want to keep your stops above the highest point it made, because that's going to keep your stops protected, and there's no reason why price should dump and come back up and take the highs. You already took liquidity above the session highs. If it wanted to continue higher at this point, it would most likely be bullish and we'd be wrong about the sells overall. But you saw the highs got taken, stops right above. I think we had like a 40-point stop loss right there, and you could see we ended up hitting. I put my my TP at the New York lows, kept holding all day, because you'll see it ended up kind of consolidating a little bit, but I held it all night until my final TP was hit. But a lot of people kept in this trade, and you'll see it ended up just absolutely flying, not flying, but dumping all the way down, which going all the way to basically a 1 to 14 risk to reward trade, all from the sells. And once again, you have confidence behind it, which is so important, because if you know what the overall direction is, you wait for liquidity to be taken against the trend, because once again, the trend is bearish. So if we wait for early buyers to get into the market and use their orders as liquidity to then distribute lower, that is a perfect setup, in my opinion. Is once again, overall trend, retracement and discount, waiting for session liquidity to be taken out to fuel the move, and then getting in the sells, aiming for the session lows. That was the whole confluences behind the trade that made me be able to go make thousands of dollars live with people. And I couldn't even imagine the amount of money everyone made together. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. So if you're not a part of the community, make sure you guys subscribe and stay tuned for more videos and more trades that I go through to show you guys how I enter. If you guys have questions, I can, answer them. If you're in the Discord, go and post your charts. I can give you feedback. All that is just a part of NLT. So make sure you're a part of it. But now that we've gone over that trade, I'm actually going to zoom up and do one final review with you guys of all the kind of characteristics you have to wait for and confluences to make it all add up into a high probability setup, which has to do with, first off, the overall trend, bearish. Price is going to make lower highs and lower lows continuing, right? So what are we waiting for? When price makes a low, not only are we waiting for a lower high, but we're waiting for a lower high within discount. So you fib up the, the high makes to the low, and we wait for price to retrace into discount. At this point, once again, in this prior example, we had New York create its highs over here and its lows down over here. So all we waited for is price to go and find liquidity against trend, get early buyers in and distribute lower, aiming for the lows and continuing the overall sell trend. So you're trying to enter somewhere in here, understanding the the overall trend is bearish. This is just a lower high to make a lower low, and we just need liquidity to fuel the move to continue lower. Once you guys understand premium and discount and why it makes sense, I think it's going to make you understand this trade way more and this strategy way more. So once again, go and watch the other videos on my channel of what premium and discount is, because that'll also help you a ton. I'm going to end the video with saying the quote I say all the time, which is, if you wait for liquidity to be taken out, you are less likely to be coming. So if you guys are ever getting into a trade and you put your stop loss in a certain area and it hits it and then flies back up in your direction, that's not by accident. That is liquidity being taken to fuel the move to continue in the overall direction, because you just were retail and kind of, I hate to say it, dumb money. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys like the strategy. And if you guys have any type of results using this, join the Discord below and post your results and tag me showing you examples of it on different pairs. Like I said, I did this on NASDAQ because this was a setup I called live, but this strategy applies to every single pair, all indices, all forex pairs. If you want to use on gold, it always respects liquidity, and especially session liquidity. It's all, and fib zones. You can go and back test it and see all the confluences match up with any of those pairs. And now but not least, how you guys can get 100K funded account. On Thursday, May 12th, I'm gonna be live streaming on my usual time during Power Hour, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and I will be doing on that live stream a giveaway in the chat to someone who is there and giving them a 100K funded account. The easiest way to stay updated is join the Discord in the description, where I alert you guys whenever I'm going live, whenever I'm doing giveaways. And if you do not know, I give away challenges all the time on my live stream. So if you are not tuned in, I'm gonna keep telling you, come and join the live streams. You guys are missing out on free trades, free sauce, and just free knowledge for you guys to go and add to your trading bag to help you go make profits in the markets. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on Thursday, May 12th for the giveaway. See you guys there.